For years, Royal Lodge stood as one of the most recognizable symbols of Prince Andrew's continued connection to royal life, a grand residence set deep within Windsor Great Park, surrounded by history, privacy, and tradition. While the world outside changed rapidly, the estate represented stability, a reminder that despite controversy and shifting public opinion, certain royal privileges appeared permanent. But according to mounting reports, that sense of permanence was shaken during a tense and emotional period in which Andrew allegedly clashed with palace officials as discussions over his future at Royal Lodge intensified, turning a private royal matter into a drama watched around the world. The reported conflict did not emerge overnight. Instead, it developed slowly, shaped by years of evolving circumstances surrounding Andrew's role within the monarchy. Once considered one of the most visible members of the royal family, he had already stepped back from official duties, dramatically altering his public position. Yet even after withdrawing from royal work, his residence at Royal Lodge remained a powerful symbol that his royal status still carried tangible benefits. Royal residences are never simply homes. Within the monarchy, they reflect hierarchy, responsibility, and institutional priorities. Where a royal lives often communicates as much as what they do. As public scrutiny intensified in recent years, maintaining long-standing arrangements became increasingly complicated for palace decision-makers tasked with protecting the monarchy's reputation. According to reports circulating in royal media, palace officials began reassessing housing arrangements connected to non-working members of the royal family. Financial considerations, public perception, and long-term planning reportedly formed part of wider conversations about how royal properties should be used moving forward. These discussions were said to align with King Charles's broader vision of a streamlined monarchy, one centered on a smaller group of actively serving senior royals. For Andrew, however, Royal Lodge represented far more than administrative logistics. The estate had become central to his identity and daily life. After stepping away from public duties, it offered privacy and continuity, shielding him from intense global scrutiny. Leaving or downsizing would not simply mean relocation. It would signal another step away from the royal role that had defined him for decades. Reports suggest that as expectations around the property became clearer, tensions began to rise. Palace officials, operating within institutional priorities, reportedly emphasized practicality and optics. Andrew, according to accounts, viewed the situation through a deeply personal lens, one shaped by history, entitlement to long-standing arrangements, and emotional attachment to the residence. The alleged clashes highlight a fundamental challenge within royal life: the monarchy is both a family and an institution. Decisions made for institutional survival can feel intensely personal to those affected. What advisors may frame as strategic restructuring can feel, to individuals, like loss or rejection. Observers note that such disagreements are rarely publicized. Royal conflicts are traditionally resolved behind closed doors to preserve dignity on all sides. The fact that details of this dispute emerged publicly reflects how dramatically the media environment has changed. Today, even internal royal discussions quickly become global headlines, fueling speculation and debate. Public reaction to the reported Royal Lodge drama has been sharply divided. Some commentators argue that re-evaluating privileges linked to non-working royals represents necessary modernization. Others view the situation as evidence of a family struggling to balance compassion with public accountability. The debate itself underscores how closely the monarchy's internal decisions are now tied to public opinion. Royal historians often point out that housing arrangements have long played a subtle but powerful role in shaping royal hierarchy. Residences signal importance, access, and relevance. When living arrangements change, observers interpret the shift as symbolic, a visible indicator of evolving status within the royal structure. In Andrew's case, the symbolism appears especially strong. Once known for high-profile international engagements and ceremonial duties, his public presence has diminished significantly. Royal Lodge remained one of the last visible connections to his former prominence. The reported dispute therefore feels less like a logistical disagreement and more like a defining moment in a broader transition. King Charles's leadership style provides important context. Since ascending the throne, he has emphasized efficiency, public service, and sustainability within the monarchy. Reducing costs and clarifying roles form part of a long-term effort to maintain relevance in a modern democratic society. Decisions regarding royal properties inevitably reflect those priorities. For palace officials, maintaining credibility requires demonstrating fairness and consistency. Allowing arrangements perceived as excessive or outdated could risk undermining public trust. Yet enforcing change within a family institution carries emotional consequences that cannot easily be avoided. The reported clashes therefore reveal tension between two perspectives: institutional necessity and personal expectation. Media coverage has amplified every detail, transforming the Royal Lodge situation into a broader narrative about accountability and adaptation. Headlines describe confrontation and resistance, while commentators analyze body language, timing, and reported statements for clues about deeper royal dynamics. The story resonates because it humanizes an institution often seen as distant and ceremonial. Supporters of Andrew argue that decades of service and personal history deserve consideration, emphasizing loyalty and compassion within families. Critics counter that monarchy must evolve to reflect contemporary values, where privilege is increasingly linked to visible contribution rather than birth alone. Meanwhile, Royal Lodge itself has become a powerful symbol within the public imagination. Images of its historic facade accompany news coverage, reinforcing the idea that physical spaces carry emotional and institutional meaning. The estate now represents more than architecture, it stands as a metaphor for changing royal identity. Behind the scenes, advisors likely faced complex calculations. Any decision involving Andrew risked criticism from one side or another. Moving too quickly could appear harsh, while maintaining the status quo might invite accusations of resistance to reform. Navigating such dilemmas requires careful timing and controlled communication, hallmarks of royal crisis management. The reported disagreements also highlight how profoundly the monarchy has changed since the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Her leadership style often emphasized continuity and personal loyalty, allowing sensitive matters to remain private for extended periods. Under new leadership, evolving expectations and external pressures appear to be accelerating decisions once delayed indefinitely. For Andrew personally, the situation may represent a difficult confrontation with changing realities. Identity shaped by royal status does not easily adjust when roles shift. The emotional weight attached to residence, routine, and tradition can be immense, particularly when public criticism accompanies change. Psychologists often note that loss of role or status can feel destabilizing, even for individuals outside royal life. Within monarchy, where identity and position are intertwined from birth, such transitions may feel especially profound. As the reported eviction drama unfolded, public fascination grew not only because of royal intrigue but because the story reflects universal themes: change, resistance, and adaptation. Many people recognize the emotional challenge of leaving behind a familiar chapter of life, even when circumstances demand it. The monarchy, meanwhile, continues moving forward. Public engagements, national ceremonies, and diplomatic responsibilities proceed regardless of internal tensions. This continuity reinforces the institution's enduring principle: individuals change, but the monarchy itself must remain stable. Whether Andrew ultimately leaves Royal Lodge permanently or reaches a revised arrangement, the symbolic impact of the reported conflict has already taken root. The story marks another step in redefining the boundaries of royal privilege in the modern era. Royal commentators increasingly describe the situation as part of a larger generational shift, a transition from monarchy defined primarily by tradition to one shaped by accountability and public expectation. The Royal Lodge dispute, in this context, becomes less about one residence and more about the future direction of the institution itself. For Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, the developments also carry personal implications, placing them in a sensitive position between family loyalty and public perception. Their quieter public roles in recent months suggest awareness of how closely royal narratives intertwine. As weeks and months pass, new headlines will inevitably emerge, yet the Royal Lodge drama may remain a defining episode. It illustrates how even the most established traditions can be reconsidered when institutions evolve. In the end, the reported clash between Andrew and palace officials tells a story larger than conflict. It reveals a monarchy navigating the difficult process of change, balancing compassion with responsibility, history with modern expectations, and personal relationships with institutional survival. Royal Lodge may continue standing peacefully within Windsor's landscape, its walls unchanged by controversy. But the meaning attached to it has shifted. No longer merely a residence, it has become a symbol of transition, the place where old assumptions met new realities. And as the monarchy enters a new chapter, the unfolding drama serves as a reminder that adaptation often arrives not through grand announcements, but through quiet decisions made behind closed doors, decisions that reshape history one moment at a time.